series. Welcome to the Crazy Wisdom Poetry Series. This is a series that of readings and writers' workshops, and on the fourth Wednesday of each month, we have featured readers and an open mic following. During the last 2 or 3 years, it's been pretty frequently that poets from the Near East, and in particular Israel, Palestine, have been reading, mostly people from the diaspora. Tonight, we have 2 poets who have connections to Gaza and who are both living in the Palestinian territories. Khaled Juma'a was born in Rafah and raised in a Palestinian refugee camp, and his 29 publications include the genres of poetry, prose poetry, short stories, children's stories, TV sketches, plays, and over 100 songs. He held several editorial positions, including head of the cultural department for the Palestinian News and Information Agency. It goes by the acronym of WAFA. The second poet, and who will be the first one reading tonight, is Yousef el Qedra. He is a poet, novelist, and playwright who's lived most of his life in Gaza, Egypt, where he pursued a master's degree until his money ran out, and then emigrated from there to Turkey, where he spent 2 years, finally returning to Gaza. He's living there now. We have our reading will be bilingual, and Yasmin, Snounu, and I will be reading our translations. There she is there, and she has she was born and raised in Gaza, went to school there, and on a Fulbright scholarship more than a dozen years ago, she came to the United States and earned a master's at Eastern Michigan University in teaching of English as a second language, and then got a PhD in education, in urban education, also from Eastern Michigan University. And so we'll begin. We'll read a round of poems by Yousef el Qedra. Yasmin, would you read the translation for the first one?
I thought we were beginning with Khaled, but we are going to do Yousef first, right?
Yes.
لا بيت لي ليوسف القدرة. والغيم رأيته يهرب من وجع، لغة ما أملك وزنها أخف من ريشة. الريشة لا تكتب، إنما يحترق حبر الروح على ضفة المعنى. الغيم دموع مكتظة بالهروب وقلة الوضوح، وتدرك جمالا تشكله ومتن خير فيها ينتظره الشجر والحدائق والصبايا المتعبات. لا بيت لي، ولي ليل ناضج يعرق من خدر ينبض به المكان، والزمان كبر وحده دوني. سألته في منام عن شكله، أجابتني الهزائم الصغيرة. عدت أسأله عن معناه، وجدتني معلق في الهباء، مشدود كوتر لا آلة ينتمي إليها، وعزفتني ريح وجذب لا يقاوم. كنت مقامات التيه، وفيه حزن وفيهن نسق. So this is the Arabic of I have no home. Now I will read the English of I have no home. And that's for Yousef el Qedra. I have no home. I saw clouds running away from the hurt. I have no language. Its weight is lighter than a feather. The quill does not write. The ink of the spirit burns on the shore of meaning. The clouds of tears, filled with escape and lacking definition. A cloud realizes the beauty she forms, beauty which contains all good things, for whom trees, gardens, and tired young women wait. I have no hope. I have a night overripe with sweats caused by numbness all over. Time has grown up on its own without me. In my dream, I asked him what he looks like. My small defeats answered him. So I asked him again, what did he mean? Then I found myself suspended in nothingness, stretched like a string that does not belong to an instrument. The wind played me, so did irresistible gravity. I was a run of lost notes that are sad and reckless. And that's for Yousef el Qedra. I have no home.
And I'll read a second poem now. It's from her tears. It's from a book called Her Tears Lament the Devastation. And the title is Exhaustion Overtook Me. I've suffered from fatigue since an early age, and my body crumpled in the presence of sickness. Probably my body also fell apart. No longer am I some firm-rooted tree, branches mingling with the clear blue sky. Maybe I have never been that way. You saw that every cell in my body was shaken. You saw that many thorny questions were growing into my skin. You saw that my eyes hurt with tears, and I couldn't tell from which cascade those tears fell. Clouds have appeared in the minds of my poems, headed back in disappointment toward the river. The river reverted to its headwaters of first longing. The sea is too salty. Meanwhile, my thirst surprised me by coming at the wrong time. My thirst was stubborn, and I am not stubborn with anyone except myself. Suddenly, I wanted the world to turn into a desert, without a sun above it, without memories of the trees or the river or the distraught young women. I want myself to be a dead body, smoking a rotten cigarette, watching the emptiness. I want myself to be a line inside a neglected book, a line upon which the dust eats and drinks. And now a video of Yousef reading the poem. Yeah, okay.
وأدركني التعب. كنت معبأ به من أزمنة عتيقة وجسدي تهاوى أمام سياق مريض. الاحتمال أيضا أصابه السقوط. لم أعد شجرة جلدها ثابت وفروعها بسماوات أزرقها باهر. ربما لم أكن كذلك أبدا. كل خلية في بنياني تخلخل. رأيت ذلك. أسئلة كثيرة شائكة نبتت على جلدي. رأيت ذلك. عيناي جرحهما بكاء لا يدرك من أي شلال يتساقط. رأيت ذلك. الغيوم التي تجلت في بال قصائدي عادت خائبة إلى النهر، والنهر عاد إلى حنينه الأول، والبحر مالح جدا. حينها أدهشني العطش يأتي في وقت غلط، مكتظ بالعناد، ولا أعاند سواي بغتة أريد الدنيا صحراء لا شمس فوقها ولا ذكريات لها مع الأشجار والنهر والصبايا المعذبات. أريدني نكتة هامدة تدخن سيجارة رديئة وتتأمل الفراغ. أريدني سطرا في كتاب مهمل أكل الغبار عليه وشرب.
Yeah, that was great.
Hard to tape with the background of the sea. It's not the best for the sound,
Hmm.
but it was understandable.
Uh-huh. Let's go to the next. On the Margin of a Whirlwind. This was written in 2009. When Israel launched its Operation Cast Iron Dome and first used phosphorus bombs on civilians. On the margin of a whirlwind, resurrection is crawling. The beginning is all about horses of cloud, circling God's sky over Gaza City. These clouds descend on the ancient shores of the people, while a woman of a volcano erupts in song on the waterline of the lazy blue beach. Windmills of butterflies are making the whole world dance to the dream lost behind dialectic walls. The wind embraces twilight on an igniting sea. My cytoplasms, formed from blood and misbegotten human beings, are arrayed on a rose-colored glass plate. She alone holds the book of love and combs the tree's hair. Anxiety is sailing on the margin of a whirlwind, leading to a window inside the book. The topic is war. Resurrection is rising to its feet. Horses of fire and steel kneaded the flesh of a youngster fleeing Gaza. His terrified brother stole his severed arm and planted it under a tree, whose tears bewail the destruction. This tree, as the boy understands it, is a dedicated guard, whereas the cemetery is far away, and the hell you trust does not exclude making shrines. Resurrection scales the ladders of dissonance, enters the room of a young woman, burns an album. The woman was hiding smiles for her children, who would emerge from hope and a love story never completed. For fire broke out inside her lover's heart, and she could not resist two fires. So he surrendered to oblivion, except that it was told how the fire coming from her window merged with the fire coming from his balcony, where she was waiting for him. In the Arabic.
على هامش دوامة القيامة تحفي، والبدء خيول من غيم تعانق سماء الله في غزة، تتنزل على شواطئ الخلق القدامى فيما امرأة من براكين تتفجر غناء على حواف الزرقة الكسول. طواحين هواء من فراشات ترقص العالم الحلم الضياع خلف جدران عازلة، وعاصفة العناق في الشفق بحر فيه اشتعال على كأس وردة تشكل هيولة من دماء وبشر ممسوخين. وحدة مثلها تمسك كتاب العشق وتسرح للشجر شعره. فلق يبحر على هامش دوامة تفضي إلى نافذة في الكتاب، والمتن حرب. القيامة تقوم على قدميها تخطو، والخيول من نار وفولاذ تعجن لحم صغير هارب في غزة. سرق أخوه المفسوع ذراعه المقطوعة وزرعها تحت شجرة جمرها تبكي الخراب. الشجرة في فهم الصغير حارسة أمينة، أما المقبرة بعيدة ولا تؤتمن، حيث الجحيم لا يستثني الأطرقة. القيامة تركب سلالم النشاز، تدخل غرفة صبية وتحرق ألبوما خبأت الصبية فيه ابتسامات لأطفالها القادمين من الأمل وقصة حب لن تكتمل. إذ أن ذات النار اشتعلت في قلب عاشقها تماما، ولم يستطع مقاومة نارين فاستسلم للغياب، غير أنه روي أن نارا من نافذة غرفتها اشتبكت مع ناره التي شوهدت تنبعث من بلكونة كان ينتظرها فيها.
So from the same book is a series of 10 poems. We're only going to read 3 of them. They're all short, and they're called Poems for Tonight. And I'll read number 1. They simply have numbered titles. Well, pardon me, they actually do have a title for each one. Number 1, Down and Far Away. The dawn has kicked an entire night, while quiet prevails outside the open window. A small hand whispers its ripe perfume. A sleepy light opens its eyes with difficulty and much yawning. Warmth is sneaking toward the heart that dances with a gypsy woman in a spirit of kinship, where the Alhambra Palace sinks down far away. But God is closer than those transients think. The dancer's rhythm burnishes a land over which the wind blows to rustle up songs and a quick certitude of joy. Alone, your blood cries beside the shore. For you, the sea claps when it's joyful, dances when it's disappointed. The sea clashes with its waves, and the waves are a memory that tosses on an abandoned bed in a room. The room is closed and darkness is locked in its closet. The closet tells itself fantasies. On its old wood are many stories for a child running in the gardens of your soul.
Okay, I'll do the Arabic now, Ed, for section 1. نصوص لهذا الليل. 1 في أسفل بعيد. يركل الفجر ليلا كاملا فيما الشباك مفتوح على هدوئه، ويد صغيرة توشوش عطرها الناضج. إضاءة نعسانة تفتح عينيها بصعوبة وتثاؤب كثير. دفء ما يتسلل ناحية قلب يرقص مع فجرية في روح شاردة، حيث قصر الحمراء في أسفل بعيد، والله أقرب مما يظن العابرون. يداعب إيقاع الراقصين أرضا تمر عليها ريح تتصيد أغنيات ويقين فرح طارئ. وحدك دمك يبكي قرب ساحل، بحرك يصفق فرحانا ومخذولا، فرحانا ومخذولا يرقص، يشتبك مع موجه، والموج ذاكرة تتقلب على سرير مهمل في غرفة مغلقة وعتمة محبوسة في خزانتها. الخزانة تحكي تخيلات لذاتها، وعلى خشبها القديم قصص كثيرة لطفلة تركض في حدائق روحك.
Thank you. Poems for tonight, number 2, is entitled "I Blame No One," and it's characteristic of Yousef el Qedra some of the time to blame himself for his misfortunes. It's commonplace for Palestinian poets to blame the Jewish Israelis for their troubles, but here he's blaming himself. I blame no one. Clumsy drowsiness has overcome me. I encounter fires flowing from the threshold of sleep. I ignite like a meaning being led into the abyss. An ambiguous chair dances inside the roof of visions, and a small forgetfulness is rubbing its head. The closet tends to remember things. The mirror is broken. So is my reflection. This cup of cappuccino is tasteless, but does send warmth into my fingers' love. I breathe the absence I intend, and I recognize the distance that's like a sting in the heart. Back on my exhausting pillow, I blame no one but myself. I think of blindness. I see my ears drawing a swing on the beach. I think in complete darkness and see my nose drawing a hut near the swing after it has collected the perfumes of the women I love. I think of loneliness. I see my tongue drawing an island that has nothing to do with tastes. I walk a road I have to myself. White hands on a black cloth indicate traces of what has passed into nothingness. Cravings for shadows and the silence devour me.
Okay, now the Arabic, the original version of it. 2. ولا أعاتب أحدا. يغلبني نعاس أخرق. ألتقي مع نيران تتدفق من عتبة النوم. أشتعل كمعنى تسوقه الهاوية. كرسي غامض يرقص في سقف الرؤيا، ونسيان صغير يحك جلدة رأسه. الخزانة تميل باتجاه التذكر. المرآة مكسورة وصورتي كذلك. كوب الكابتشينو لا مذاق له غير أنه يبعث دفئا في أصابع وجدي. أتنفس غياب المقصود وأدرك المسافة التي تشبه وخزا في جهة القلب.
Okay, let's go right to the next.
I'm not done.
Excuse me.
أرجع إلى وسادة التعب ولا أعاتب أحدا سواي. أفكر في العمى وأرى أذني ترسم أرجوحة على الشاطئ. أفكر في العتمة الكاملة وأرى أنفي يرسم كوخا بالقرب من الأرجوحة بعد أن جمع عطور الصبايا التي أحبهم. أفكر في الوحدة وأرى لساني يرسم جزيرة بعيدة من مذاقات عدة. أمشي ولي طريقي. أكف بيضاء على قماش أسود تدل الحضور على أثر من مضى في العدم. جوع للظلال ويلتهمني السكوت. Now I'm done, Ed.
Okay, thank you. All right. These poems are very tactile.
Yeah.
Number 3 from Poems for Tonight. From a Side of Nothingness. A moon that's painted in my notebook weeps, as does a rose leaning upon its light. It's been a harsh winter with cold nights. I'm frightened by similitude. Gaza is a strange woman. She abandons her lovers, a city lonely as a genteel widow set in her ways, whereas a silent world hides inside a pocket of love, of ugliness. This world spins a silence of abandoned love. It also produces retarded mutants out of nothingness. Pus bleeds from the perfume of its torn veins. Pardon me, of its torn vein, V-E-I-N. A world delineated by fatigue, it boasts of the flayed cadaver, moldy in death. Everything slips into superstition, growing on its tired hands. His head between his feet, he walks on pessimism and provocation. His music is a headache that assaults his blood. Go ahead.
3 من جهة العدم. قمر مرسوم في دفتر يبكي، وتبكي وردة مسنودة على ضوئه. شتاء قاسيا كان وباردة مساءاته. يرعبني التشابه. غزة امرأة غريبة تهجر عشاقها. مدينة وحيدة كأرملة، سيدة في يقينها، فيما عالم صامت يندس في جيب القبح، يلوي صمت محبة متروكة، ينجب مسخا أبلها من جهة العدم، قيحا ينزف من عطر عرقه المنزوع، يحز في التعب ويتباهى بجيفة مقشرة عن موت متعفن. كل شيء ينزلق في خرافة تنمو على يديه المنهكتين، ورأسه بين قدميه يمشي في التشاؤم والاستفزاز. موسيقاه صداع في دمه يدب.
All right. Okay. So now we have a poem which Yousef el Qedra wrote on February 4th, 2024, as part of his notebook. Will you explain what he's been doing, Yasmin?
Yes, so Yousef always writes, he constantly writes. During the genocide, he has been writing long and short, prose poems. A lot of times he posts on Facebook, so it's like a diary for him. Every day he posts something. So this short poem, he wrote it in last February, during the genocide. And Ed and I decided to include it today in our reading because it's important to hear something from what Yousef has been writing during the genocide. And it has no title because Yousef makes different posts sometimes a day. So Ed, I will read the Arabic and you will read the English, or you would like me to read both?
You can read both.
Right.
Read the English first.
Let's read the English first. Okay. And when we translated this little poem, it came with us like a pyramid. That was interesting. Okay. The poem has not returned from war. The poem is still searching for the flower of fire. As for the dewdrops, it is the good neighbor of the soil. The dewdrops flow calmly and warmly every time the sun embraces them. As for the morning, it was said that morning completely swallows night inside woolly weather. The morning leaves the children without their dreams, allowing them to go to Allah, to go to God. And that was written by Yousef el Qedra, February 4th, 2024.
Thank you. And now let's go to the poetry of Khaled Juma'a.
Can we read the Arabic?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Yes, please do.
Okay. لم تعد القصيدة من الحرب، لا زالت تبحث عن وردة النار، أما الندى فجار طيب للتراب، يسيل هادئا ودافئا كلما حضنته شمس. أما عن الصباح فروي في أمره أنه يبتلع الليل كاملا في طقس مقدس، ويترك الأولاد دون أحلامهم يذهبون إلى الله.
Thank you. Now to the poetry of Khaled Juma'a. We have a short poem, which is the first one we translated, and it was published in a magazine called Catamaran. Urchin children of Gaza. Oh, urchin children of Gaza, who constantly disturbed me with your yelling under my window, you who filled every morning with turbulence and chaos, who broke my vase and stole the lonely flower on my balcony. Come back, scream all you want, and break all the vases, steal all the flowers. Come back, just come back. He has a way of getting effects with poems that are very short and also poems that are quite long. Would you read the Arabic?
The Arabic. So this is the urchin children of Gaza for Khaled Juma'a. Khaled Juma'a. أطفال غزة الأشقياء. يا أطفال غزة الأشقياء، يا من أزعجتموني باستمرار بصراخكم تحت نافذتي، يا من ملأتم كل صباح بالفوضى والإزعاج، يا من كسرتم مزهريتي وسرقتم زهرتي الوحيدة من شرفتي. عودوا عودوا واصرخوا كما تشاءون، عودوا واكسروا كل المزهريات واسرقوا الزهور، عودوا فقط عودوا.
Thank you.
Reading this, I remember all the children that Israel murdered during the genocide.
All right. Next poem is entitled 1947, and it portrays in the poet's imagination what life in Palestine might have been before the establishment of the State of Israel. He's not old enough to know personally. Let me think now. No, I don't think he is, but he close, but not. But he was not born then. By then, but it's a really interesting portrait. (1947) Villages clutching at the world's surface, open for passers-by heading into their dreams. Like a necklace strung with the first human beings, amulets and prophets. Children memorize it like a corner of home next to the wood stack. They know the streets has stories that keep time from having to stop. Over there, the world started, There, exactly where Allah sprinkles kindness over the fields at every sunrise. Exactly over there, names have begun. I saw women like orange trees in a row walking to the river with dresses that procreate homelands, with children who will break up the desert and stamp over the place, with feet that make an anklet look beautiful, with a rhythm that tells the story of the clouds. I saw them as fields of songs and braids that break the silence of the cold morning. I saw them utter cries trilling with joy along the fringes of big farms, and then they return in a procession laden with water and stories. I saw them as a group of women while going, and as one woman when returning. While farmers slowly pour their sweat into layers of sand, the ogre in the story doesn't enter their memories, nor does extreme greed turn them away from their young lovers. The axe they swing goes tick, tick, and ignites the horizon with determinations made of the sea and oranges. They avoid the lairs of other creatures so as not to get nature angry. They write of a season when the sky becomes configured for other countries, and they reemerge in a harvest like the newly born, as if the same hand is conveying the water toward its capacity for becoming fruit. And then the fruit becomes speech. Then the speech becomes the threshing of a grain field, and the threshed grain field becomes a wedding and steps upon the sand. At the wedding, the arguel flute is laid onto the lip. I lost the, sorry. Oh yeah, okay, I'll start over. At the wedding, the arguel flute is laid onto the lip like a bird on a branch, and two lovers head back toward the house, toward the back of the houses, so they can say a word using their hands. Every night is a home for lovers, and when dancing flourishes like sage on a mountain, forgiveness flows as light as rivers and souls in the air. And fathers do not bat an eye at their sons' foolishness, and the sole owner of the grocery store forgets his debt notebook, and the mothers allow their girls to laugh and flirt a bit. At the wedding, the fruit of the soul flows so it becomes a taste, a touch, and a smell. At the wedding, people begin songs, and bodies are an idea with no weight at all. In the house made of cane, one lamp lights the darkness of the years. It takes permission for an eternity, and the bag of invitations is opened as candy for the feast of Eid. Hearts are assured by the whispering night air. Hearts guard the sleepiness of the country. Hearts pull the flute from its sleepiness so that the ringing becomes vegetation, growing wishes achieved in advance. At the houses, home is in disarray, and a mother's weaving is ready for winter. At homes, a complete year goes by without worry or nightmare. At those houses, Allah was guarding everything.
Khaled takes us on a journey here, to explain in his, own words how Palestine looked like before the establishment of the state of Israel. 1947 قرى عالقة على سطح العالم مفتوحة للعابرين إلى أحلامهم مزركشة بأول البشر وبالتمائم والرسل يحفظها أبناؤها كزاوية في البيت جوار أكوام الحطب. يألفون الشوارع تماما كحكايات تحرر الزمن من وقفته. هناك بدأ العالم، وهناك تماما حيث الله يرش الطيبة على الحقول كل فجر، هناك تماما بدأت الأسماء. رأيتهن سطرا كنا كأشجار برتقال تمشي إلى النهر، بأثواب تفيض أوطانا، بأطفال سيكسرون الصحراء ويبهرون المكان، بأقدام تجمل الخلاخيل وإيقاع يسرد سيرة الغيم. رأيتهن حقولا من الأغاني وجدائل تفض سكون الصباح البارد. رأيتهن ينعفن الزغاريد على حواف البيارات ويعدن في موكب معبأ بالماء والحكايات. رأيتهن نساء في الذهاب وامرأة واحدة في العودة، وفيما الحراثون على مهل يصبون العرق في أخاديد الرمل، لا الغول في الحكاية يخطر في ذكرياتهم، ولا الطمع الجابي يردهم عن عشيقاتهم الخضراوات. نأمة نأمة يدلون الفأس إلى طريقها، ويشعلون الأفق بعزائم من بحر وبرتقال. يحيدون عن جحور الكائنات كي لا تغضب الطبيعة. يؤلفون موسما حين تصير السماء لغير البلاد، وينشؤون في الحصاد كأولاد من جديد، وكأنها اليد ذاتها تمرر الماء إلى حرفته ليصير ثمرا، ليصير الثمر كلاما، ليصير الكلام بيدرا، ليصير البيدر عرسا وخطا. في العرس ينتصب الأرغول على الشفة كطائر على غصن، ويمضي عاشقان خلف البيوت كي يقولا كلمة باليدين. كل ليل هو بيت للعاشقين. وحين يزهر الرقص كميرامية الجبل يسيل الغفران جداول وأرواحا خفيفة في الهواء، ويتغاضى الآباء عن حماقات أبنائهم، وينسى صاحب الحانوت الوحيد دفتر دينه، وتسمح الأمهات لبناتهن بقليل من الضحك والغزل. في العرس تنهمر فاكهة الروح لتصير طعما وملمسا ورائحة. في العرس يصير الناس أغان والأجساد فكرة بلا وزن. في البيوت التي من قصب يضيء قنديل واحد عتمة السنوات، يأخذ إذنا بالخلود، ويفتح كيس الدعوات كحلوى العيد. قلوب تطمئن لهمس الهواء في الليل، قلوب تحرس منام البلاد، قلوب تشد الناي من غفوته، فتصير دقاتها أغراس أمنيات محققة سلفا. في البيوت أوطان فوضوية وغزل جاهز للشتاء. في البيوت عام كامل دون قلق أو كابوس. في البيوت كان الله يحرس كل شيء.
Thank you. We're near the end now, and the next poem, I'll read that, and Khaled will read it himself on video. Khaled is a very interesting reader, and the audience and the camera roves to the audience, and the audience is very interesting too. When the war is over. When the war is over, I won't write the names of martyrs on my marble. I'll bury them in a way that's proper for them. I'll drink amnesia to clear them from my memory. Maybe I'll cry before I start forgetting. I might curse some mysterious thing and clench my teeth in furious rage. I leave the injured bleeding on the ground since I've been preoccupied with crying for them. But I'll forget, like the country with no memory. If that country had a memory, it wouldn't have survived with all the martyrs it has. When the war is over, I'll go back to normal life. I'll erase my martyred friends' phone numbers from my cell phone. I'll remove their pictures from the photo albums, even those pictures that I am in. I'll forget their names and replace them with new live friends. I'll liberate myself from their gifts, their portraits, their poems, and their songs. And it's okay for them to take a piece of my heart because life is possible with just a quarter of a heart. When the war is over, I won't visit the devastated buildings, nor the places that formed my memories. What good are memories without the places where they happened? I'll chase those memories like stupid flies away from my soul. I'll start new memories on a blank page. Maybe I'll make up new memories as I please. Who'd hold me to account when the places and the people have vanished? In memories, I'll be a happy kid who has not witnessed a war, a kid whose relatives weren't killed in the war, a kid who doesn't even know the meaning of the word war. I'll arrange my family memories like that, and my country's too. I'll become someone from a country that never witnessed a century of such killing. When the war is over, I'll pay attention to the frightened children. I'll ascribe their fear to improper breeding, and their trembling to a neurological disease, and their crying to simply being spoiled brats. They were left alone with no parents because they ran away, because they always run away. They don't even know the way back anymore. When the war is over, I won't look for my girlfriend's tomb, nor will I write poems for her. I'll pretend I dumped her because I don't like her anymore. I'll criticize her hairstyle and her way of talking and her budding eyes when she said, I love you. I'll say I left her for those reasons, and she emigrated to faraway countries. And when some curious person asks me about what is written on her grave, I'll say just a name and age similar to hers, no more. I'll escape before that curious person asks, so what are you doing next to her grave? The Arabic. Oh, yes, David.
So we will show Khaled reading this now.
Yeah, the video, David.
عندما تنتهي الحرب عندما تنتهي الحرب لن أكتب أسماء الشهداء على ألواح مرمرية سأدفنهم بما يليق بهم وأشرب نسيانهم لأنظف ذاكرة ربما أشتم شيئا مجهولا وأكز على أسناني في ذروة غضب وأترك الجرح ينزفون على الأرض لأني مشغول بالبكاء عليهم لكني سأنسى كالوطن الذي لا ذاكرة له فلو كان يملك ذاكرة لما استطاع أن يحيا بكل هؤلاء الشهداء فيها. عندما تنتهي الحرب سأعود إلى طبيعتي سأشطب أرقام أصدقائي الذين ماتوا عن جهازي الخلوي سأنزع صورهم من الألبومات حتى تلك التي أنا معهم فيها سأنسى أسماءهم وأستبدلهم بأصدقاء أحياء وسأتحرر من هداياهم لوحاتهم قصائدهم أغانيهم ولا بأس إن أخذوا قطعة من قلبي فالحياة بربع قلب ممكنة. عندما تنتهي الحرب لن أزور البنايات المهدمة ولا الأماكن التي ربيت فيها ذكرياتي فماذا ستنفع الذكريات بلا أمكن؟ سأهشها كذبابة غبية عن روحي وأربي ذكريات جديدة على صفحة بيضاء وربما أؤلف ذكريات كما يحلو لي، فمن سيحاسبني وقد اختفت الأمكنة والأشخاص؟ سأكون في الذكريات ولدا سعيدا لم يشهد حربا في حياته، ولم يقتل أقرباؤه في الحرب، بل لا يعرف معنى كلمة حرب. سأرتب ذكريات عائلتي كذلك وبلادي، وسأصير من بلاد لم تشهد قتلا منذ 1000 قرن. عندما تنتهي الحرب لن أنتبه إلى الأطفال الخائفين، سأعتبر أن خوفهم سوء تربية، وأن ارتجاءهم مرضا عصبيا، وأن بكاءهم دلعا زائدا عن الحد، وأنهم حين ظلوا وحيدين دون أهلهم ذلك لأنهم أولاد فاسدون يهربون من البيت، حتى أنهم ما عادوا يعرفون طريق العودة من كثرة الهرب. عندما تنتهي الحرب لن أبحث عن قبر حبيبتي ولن أكتب شعرا فيها، سأدعي أني تركتها لأنها لم تعجبني، سأنتقد تسريحة شعر وطريقتها في الكلام وذبول عينيها حين تقول أحبك. سأقول أني لأجل هذا تركتها، هاجرت إلى بلاد بعيدة، وحين يسألني فضولي عن الكلام المكتوب على قبرها سأقول مجرد تشابه في الاسم والعمر لا أكثر، وسأحرم قبل أن يسألني ماذا تفعل.
We can go on to the next poem, and this could be our last. Teach your children. Yasmin, would you read the English?
Yes. Teach your children. And this is also written by Khaled Juma'a. Teach your children. Teach them that the homelands are trees, a stitch in a traditional dress, and memories of a song on distant mountain Carmel. The homelands are a mother rejoicing for her first son. The homelands are the sound of the sea before two birds show up in the morning. Teach them that the homelands are flutes of shepherds who rest on the dewy grass in the afternoon. The homelands are the picture of a martyr in his mother's heart rather than on the wall. Teach your children that a bullet has many meanings. It may be the sister of rejoicing, or just a bullet when it loses its eyes and its nostalgia. Teach your children. Teach them to laugh, to understand, so the river will run in thirsty sand. Teach them to dance, to restore the ink of history. Teach them to travel, so they will long for the beloved. Teach them to filter their souls in the wind. Teach them not to leave things without a name. Things are closer to the heart when they have names. Teach your children to love everything that has a soul, so they will be saved from the anthropocentrism. Teach them to see their images and language in the clouds. Teach them to pursue difficulties, because death is as easy as being rained on. Teach them to climb mountains to find their treasures, and descend into valleys so they can be enlightened with wisdom and craziness. Teach your children, teach them to perceive woman as they perceive a dream, to drench their language in her hands, so that they will be eternally moist. Teach them to embrace the lightness of music in her laughter and belong to her. Teach them to plant women in the gardens of their souls, so they preserve their humanity to the last person. Teach them to dismount from their horses in the presence of the woman, and to present the rain as a prayer to her, a prayer on a silver bowl in the morning. Teach them that a woman represents humanity's self-defense against the limits of time. Teach them that a woman is a path, a destination, and that they should dream of a woman when they plant, so the land will speak trees and water. Teach your children to listen attentively rather than hear, to open their eyes rather than watch, to fly rather than walk, to dream rather than live in illusion, to fight rather than attack, to gesture rather than talk too much, to have pride rather than to be arrogant, to forgive rather than take revenge, to love rather than like, to make peace rather than surrender, to travel rather than leave, to own rather than control, to amaze rather than look stunned, to be good friends rather than acquaintances, to stand steadfastly rather than argue stubbornly, to believe rather than become close-minded, to enlighten rather than set on fire, to sing, not to cheer. Teach your children and learn from them. By Khaled Juma'a.
I
We're
think
gonna have Khaled read that.
and it's a little after 8 o'clock. I think we've come to the end of our thread. Now,
do you want to put Khaled to read the Arabic before you finish?
oh yes, of course.
People don't
I
mind
forgot.
to
Oh no, we do. We have time for that. It's a wonderful recording. Please run that with me.
أن الأوطان أشجار وغرزة في ثوب وذكريات أمنية على الكرم البعيد. تحليلة أم لأول أبنائه والصوت البحر قبل الصبح بطائرين. وأن الأوطان نيات رعاة يستريحون على عداوة العشب الظهير. وصورة الشهيد في قلب أمه لا على الحاضر. وأن الرصاصة بمعان كثيرة قد تكون مختصرة المدن، قد تكون رصاصة لا أكثر حين تفقد عينيها وحنينها. علموا أبنائكم أن يضحك، أن يفهموا كي ينشأ النهر في الرمل الضامن، أن يرقصوا ليستعيدوا حبر التاريخ، أن يسافروا ليشتاقوا، أن يغربلوا أرواحهم في الريح، وأن لا يتركوا شيئا دون اسم، فالأشياء أقرب حين تسمى. أن يحبوا كل ذي روح ينجو من تعالي الكائنات، وأن يروا في الغيب صورتهم ولغتهم. علموهم أن يذهبوا بالصعب لأن الموت سهل كبلل شتائي. علموهم أن يصعدوا الجبال كي يعثروا على كنوزهم، وأن يهبطوا الاستقامة كي يشرقوا بالحكمة وبالجنون. علموا
It was a good.
علموا أبناءكم أن يروا المرأة كما يرون الحلم، أن يغمسوا لغتهم في يديها كي يصيبها الندى الأبدي. أن يعانقوا خفة الموسيقى في ضحكتها، أن ينتموا إليها وأن يزرعوها في حدائق صدورهم، أن يحتفظوا بالإنسان فيهم إلى آخره، أن ينزلوا عن خيولهم في حضرتها، أن يرفعوا لها المطر صلاة على آنية من فضة في الصباح. علموهم أن المرأة دفاع البشرية عن نفسها ضد الواقع، أن المرأة طريق وغاية، وأن يحلموا بها حين يضعون الغرسة في الرمل كي تتكلم الأرض شجرا وماء. علموا أبنائهم أن ينصتوا لا أن يسمعوا، أن يبصروا لا أن يشاهدوا، أن يطيروا لا أن يمشوا، أن يحلموا لا أن يتوهموا، أن يحاربوا لا أن يعتدوا، أن يؤمنوا لا أن يكذبوا، أن يتعالوا لا أن يتكبروا، أن يغفروا لا أن ينتقموا، أن يعشقوا لا أن يحبوا، أن يسلموا لا أن يستسلموا، أن يسافروا لا أن يغادروا، أن يملكوا لا أن يتملكوا، أن يدهشوا لا أن يتولدوا، أن يصادقوا لا أن يصاحبوا، أن يثبتوا لا أن يعاندوا، أن يؤمنوا لا أن يتحجروا، أن يضيفوا لا أن يحبوا، أن يغنوا لا أن يكذبوا.